Zach, let's get back to the hotel.
First Anna, then Becky, now Diane. I'm not looking forward to writing this investigation report.
Agent Morgan. York. Do you have a moment?
What is it, George?
There's something I'd like to talk to you about. Do you have any time later?
Can't we just do it here?
If possible, I'd like to go to a bar. Of course, we don't really have to.
A bar? Now that sounds like a good idea.
Zach, what do you think? We can go drinking with George, or turn him down and head back to the hotel.
Of course.
I don't know who would pick the not go to drink with them option. That's, I don't know, feels like you don't have any heart.
George, that scar on your cheek, where did you get it?
This? Didn't I tell you? Well, it's not from work. I got it when I was a kid.
A childhood injury. Tree climbing? I used to get a few scrapes myself climbing the big tree in our backyard. I used to climb it a lot, and fall out of it a lot.
This wasn't anything like that, though. It was my mother. She did it.
I'm sorry, George.
Don't worry. It's ancient history. The world is flooded with unreasonable violence. The strong overpower the weak, adults over children, men over women, and criminals over their victims. I have no memories of my father. He left before I knew him. My mother would hit me every time I asked why. And it didn't stop there. If I ate too slow, left my shoes scattered around, TV volume too loud, she found reasons to hit me.
It's like my girlfriend.
The worst was what she called the tree punishment. She'd whip my back with these thin tree branches like a whip.
Please, Mama. I won't do it again. That hurts, Mama. Oh, I'm sorry, please. I'm sorry.
Have you, like, registered how many times they said the word tree?
It's definitely the worst, I tell you.
Like in the last 2 minutes?
Those words used to make me shiver.
At least 20 times.
That's why I didn't want to show you those scars on my back. Every time after the tree punishment, she'd always say the same thing. This is hurting the tree more than it is hurting you.
That's so weird.
And me, being a naive, dumb kid, I believed her. I went to the woods to apologize to the trees.
Flies are still...
I kept asking myself, why is she hurting me this way? I thought long and hard about it. In the end, I've just figured I'm weaker than her. That's why. It's the law of Mother Nature at work. The strong eat the weak.
But now, you have the power to protect the weak.
That's right. Perhaps I should thank my mother for guiding me into this line of work. York. I've been an arrogant fool, haven't I? And if it weren't for me, both Becky and Diane would still be alive. I could have saved them both. You know, it's almost like they died because of me.
You're out of your mind.
I invited you to this bar for a drink. But I guess this bar is my confession chamber, and I wanted you to listen. And to tell you, well, you must already hate me for causing all these problems, not following your orders. York, I'm sorry. I'll follow your orders from now on. You'll have my total cooperation.
George, you've been as cooperative as you can be. You even invited an FBI guy to a bar for drinks. You've done a good job protecting this town. And the folks here respect you for that. Nobody can blame you for anything.
Thanks. I do feel a little better.
I like that scene because he opens up so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice.
And this whole episode will contain a lot of cutscenes and talking.
Hey, Carol. Becky is dead.
Some
Diane,
small
too.
talk.
Yeah.
We've got Nick in custody as a suspect.
Nick didn't do it.
I know. Carol, you took a locket from Diane, didn't you? A locket with this mark on it.
He doesn't even show it to her.
Yeah.
I'm busy, gotta go.
You know how weird it is when Japanese singing English lyrics?
No.
You can't really tell if it really is English. And also, she's not very good in hitting the perfect pitch.
Behind the trolleys, they should see us. I am silly haze from the
I mean, I'm almost positive that this is an English and a Japanese native speaker.
Oh, okay. It's
Don't you
just
think?
so. It's just the original.
Yeah, I
More or
mean
less.
it's a track from the soundtrack, so
Oh.
like glistener, you are
Yeah, it could definitely be.
I think so. But regardless, I like this scene, but it's very Twin Peaks-ish again.
Yeah.
There are, I think, series and movie combined. There are at least a few scenes where there's this mysterious singer on the stage.
But you haven't watched American Horror Story, right?
No, I haven't yet.
There was
will.
a similar scene.
Ah. It's probably the same inspiration. then.
Yeah, probably, yeah. It's like you have somebody with a very split personality who sings at bars at night and is very different in daylight or in her other life.
That's some loud ass plateau shoes. Only two people doing the slow clap. It was okay, I guess. I think she actually looks like Thomas. They look very much alike. I thought maybe I would be able to sing a little
Yeah,
bit.
but you.
I couldn't.
But she's still in her working clothes.
Yeah, she's... What kind of working clothes? Like maid?
Yeah, she looked like a diner server or something.
Oh yeah, maybe, yeah.
It's a pretty weird posture.
Who might be that? Who might that be?
Sorry to keep you waiting, boys.
It's the blonde police girl.
Sack.
You don't know her name after 14 months of let's playing this game.
Let's forget work.
Mouth movement.
I just thought the more.
And also, I have to say,
Is this a problem?
No, of course not.
She's dressed in black. She's death. She's the killer.
no, that's a little far-fetched.
George, I just got here and you're walking out on me?
By the way, I think the voice acting is pretty good in this game.
Have a drink and let out a little steam.
I shouldn't eat chips now.
and I already had a good man-to-man.
At least I like the voice acting from these three characters very much.
Yeah. Better a man-to-man than a man-on-man.
And,
I guess you would like that.
I read somewhere that they did like the English voice acting in, I don't know, a week or something,
Really?
or less, like crazy little time.
But he's avoiding you all at the same time.
How astute.
Whatever that means.
Reason?
Yeah, that's a word in English.
Nothing worth going into. It's a thing of the past.
York smells.
Okay. He did ask me out when I first came to town. I was still in high school. But I never really considered him my type. And there's the age gap thing, too. I respect him, of course. I wouldn't have taken this job otherwise.
So, did you move to this town alone?
Of course not. I came with my parents.
Tell me about them then.
Sure, why not? My dad dealt in stocks in New York. He was hardly at home when I was a kid, always working. Those pieces of paper were far more important to him than I was. Which is no different now, really. I don't see much of him. My mother? Totally different story. A wonderful person that I still respect. She was always kind and understanding. Not only that, but she would always help me find my way. She could be fierce, too, scolding me if I took a wrong step. We had our battles, sure, but all in all, she was a wonderful mother.
Past tense?
Yeah, she's gone now. Cancer, just before I graduated high school. She gave this to me just before she died. I take it with me wherever I go. It's what I treasure most.
I'm sure she's very proud of you.
I had a good time tonight. Good night.
See you tomorrow.
York.
Yes.
Please, don't lie to us, okay?
His breathing sound
That was
is louder than
definitely
the
some Japanese guy.
louder than the voice. Yeah, the sound mixing is so weird in this game.
Yeah, we've talked about that, right? Where
Yeah,
you have
I
like
think so.
really low volume sometimes.
Comes up again and again. Just really weird. So I like how the game builds up these strong characters now more than like before. Even.
Yeah.
You get a sense of these characters all the time, but now they open up even more, and it's really well done, I think. And what am I doing now? I think I'm actually doing a replay of the what is it called, the gallery. Because there's trading cards in there, and we have time to talk about stuff because it's just sped up me going through there and picking up the card at the end.
So I've been thinking about those pictures with the family and the apples.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of weird because if you consider the apple being, the sin, and you have the religious, like Catholic way of thinking that every human is born with a sin.
How is it? This might make me look bad for a lot of religious people. How does this work? It's like the sin that we all get. It's called the Erbsünde in Germany. What is it called?
Oh, I have no clue.
The original sin? No, I don't know.
Yeah,
Jesus took our sins, and we are therefore again all born with like the responsibility of Jesus' death. Is it like that?
No, that's more like the Protestant way of thinking.
Okay.
So the Protestant way of thinking is that with Jesus' death...
Look, she touches her boob.
Yeah, that's sin too, I guess.
Anyways.
So with Jesus' death, all sin was loaded upon Jesus, and humanity's without sin now.
Ah, that's what I was...
Yeah, that's the Protestant way of thinking. But the Catholic way of thinking is that Jesus didn't really get rid of the sin for humanity, but that every human is born with a sin. And that's why every human who's born has to, like, repent to God. I don't know if that's a word. And has to, be or live the way of God to kind of, get less sin than he was born with.
Oh, I like how you know about these things.
Yeah, I learned that in school.
Really good.
Yeah. So that's, if you have the small child born, like, with the apple in his hand, it's more like, he was already born with sin.
Ah, I see. Yeah, that makes total sense. That is very literal way of, like, working with these symbols. It's like pushing these symbols in your face.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It is obvious.
More or less.
The game does make things very obvious a lot of times. So that's. Although I don't think that the game is very religious, so I don't know, but.
Yeah, but it probably uses some mysticism or whatever you call it.
Yeah, Japanese games usually do, right?
Yeah.
And they borrow their mysticism very often heavily from like religion.
So you want to hear, like, the theory that I got from that for the whole story?
Yes, I would like to.
Okay. So something I noticed, like, right now, I probably said that before, there is, like, a big concept of duality. You have the two twins, for example, and what else do you have? You have always this concept of man and woman, and evil and good and whatever.
Happy that you've got your man?
Have you seen this before?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
Not your man. Just a suspect.
Nick.
I didn't do it.
Actually, I believe you. But until we catch the real murderer, you're going to remain a prime suspect.
What's gonna happen to me then? Never mind. More worried about Olivia. How's she doing?
Well, this basically started a side quest.
Come on, say something.
Communicate between Olivia and him, so it's not that interesting. You can
That's the case.
keep on elaborating if you like to.
Yeah. So, but York has the same thing with his duality. So he has Zach and himself.
Expecting it first.
And I have two theories on this. And if I go by the religious theory, if you take, for example, Cain and Abel, the religious figures who say the same concept, you have, like, one guy turning evil and going apeshit on the other guy.
Yeah.
And
that's from the Old Testament, right?
yeah, and
I know that shit a little bit from from my playthrough of Ascension of the Metatron.
Oh yeah, the El Shaddai.
Exactly.
Yeah. And my theory is that Zach and York were actually twins when they were, like, small children.
Oh,
and then something really...
Oh, by the way, they had the recording fucked up, so obviously I lost a little bit of content, but it's not really, you give her the letter from him and she writes a letter to give back to him, and that's basically it. But anyways, the twin thing is a really good idea. And it's actually... Olivia. Yeah, I won't say if it's...
From Olivia?
Okay. Yeah, I actually have two theories on this. So the first one is that they were actually twins when they were children, and then they were, I don't know, something bad happened to them. They were either kidnapped or something, and York was the only one who survived. But because of their connection as twins, York still has some kind of connection to his dead twin brother.
She wrote as much
And
as
that's why he can see these in between, the world changes and stuff like that, because his brother is, as a ghost, is always kind of with him. And kind of gets him into this world, or gives York this kind of view onto the world.
Just wait until the
And
cake is finished.
therefore, you can see all the bad stuff actually happening, kind of manifesting into his real world.
Reality, yeah.
Too.
That's a great theory.
going.
I really
Hold on a minute.
right now I hate that I know how it's playing out and that I can't hypothesize with you, actually. But I love that theory.
What's this?
Yeah.
Key to the back
I have a second theory
Okay.
about York and how he sees all that stuff.
Consider it yours.
So I think, being this intelligent,
With you.
psychopathic guy he actually is, because he doesn't really show any emotions. He's like really smart,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I think it comes with a price.
Very little emotion.
So my theory would be that he distanced himself from the real world, like he separated himself or his mind from everything that's like normal or human, and he created Zack to keep some kind of connection to the real world. And these things he sees, like when the world changes and stuff
Yeah.
like that is like his guilt, because he gave up on like being normal. It's kind of very far off, but you know what I mean. So he
Yeah.
kind of
I know what you mean.
because all
So
this.
this is only tethered to reality.
Yeah, and
or
that's why he watches a lot
not
of
reality, but
movie
to,
and stuff.
To normal human beings.
Yeah. He paid
Worlds.
he gave up his humanity. He kind of took the apple from the tree, leaving his humanity behind to become the super intelligent FBI guy who actually can, profile and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I like that one too, but I prefer the first theory.
Yeah, the first one is kind of, it's...
It really hits in all spots. Like,
Yeah.
you find a lot of things that support it in the game.
Yeah.
But this is really good, by the way.
Zach, this is great. We'll be able to
Yeah,
carry
exactly.
more items
It's a bigger item bag.
Oh, he's gonna...
And that is really helpful because you can now carry more weapons. And you could only carry, like, I don't know, 3 or 4... No, not 3 or 4, like 6 weapons, and now you can carry, I don't know, 12, 10? Whatever. Enough!
But you're not using that many anyway, right? So you...
Well, I will more and more.
Okay.
I mainly use all the weapons that will not break and that do not use ammunition, but I'll get more and more infinite ammunition weapons the further along I get in the game, so I will use more and more weapons, actually. So this little, how do you call it, Fazit? It's like a little recollection of what happened again. I
Yeah.
like these.
Like a summer...
Or is it? It might be a whole another situation that I'm mixing up right now.
I think he has the same typewriter as George R.R. Williams.
Olivia told us. And the sketchbook we found at Becky's house. Nick and Diane became our primary suspects. There were a couple of reasons for this. First, Becky gave the missing locket to Diane. Also, Nick has no alibi for when Anna and Becky were killed. We followed Nick to the art gallery, which led us, unfortunately, to our third victim. The third victim, Diane, was strung up in the entrance hall of the art gallery. Her hands were tied and a knife was sticking.
But if you consider the
However, there was a marked difference from the previous.
first theory,
Do you remember what that was?
remember like when his brother died, or when his brother got lost, his parents kind of got really upset, and it wasn't the same as before, so they couldn't give him as much love as they could before, and that's where the parents like kind of emotionally separated from him, and that's why you have these tough monsters who are like displayed by women,
There are two possible candidates.
Yeah.
Nick.
Well,
and that's why he kind of sees everything at like a rational level, but you know, he never considers like the emotional or himself inside the whole case.
That's right. Case.
Yeah.
We followed Willie. Good.
Well, his parents are a big part in all of this.
Statement came out.
Okay.
And I do not remember how much the game elaborated on that up until now.
The two were in the middle of such a meeting.
So his parents are a big part of this?
Diane Monster Cool.
Yeah,
That means he himself is a big part of this.
I think he saw...
Did Kaysen hear when he was locked up?
Did he see his father before in the white room or in the
The red,
room, I mean?
Passing by. Nick was wearing.
Or somewhere? I don't remember. I could mix that up with things that happened later.
Diane met with Nick in her room. Nick said he argued verbally with Diane about her playing around with men, but they eventually decided to go out drinking to make up. However, immediately after that, Nick was attacked by someone in the entrance hall and knocked unconscious. They saw the rest.
Well, it is kind of weird that he is
Serial killer?
like in the last murder, for example. He's like alone.
What do
by
you think? Nick isn't... Yeah. I mean, I'm going over the options a little fast. I'm sorry.
Asha said.
What did you want to say?
Well, he doesn't consider himself as a suspect. I mean, he was the only guy at the murder scene, and nobody got in. And
Well, if he's
suddenly-
sane, he knows that he's no suspect. If he's insane, why would he still thinks he's no suspect? So it makes sense that he doesn't consider himself as a suspect.
The man with the tattooed back,
yeah, I mean,
upside down,
well, if he separated himself from himself so much,
left to answer.
And he wouldn't probably know.
he wouldn't know that he's himself the killer.
He wouldn't know if he's doing something as like his outer personality.
No, but if he's so smart,
You mean he would consider it a
He-
possibility?
well, he could consider it because, I mean, there's no magic happening. So if there are no real suspects around and somebody got killed and he was the only person there, he
Okay,
should
yeah.
consider that he might be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wasn't it like in the first part where he had like a car crash and suddenly he woke up and somebody got killed? Well, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
Well, no, nobody really got killed, but he was instantly in this demon world.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I couldn't sleep, so I was drinking alone.
I like how the music switches like 2 seconds, play this song, okay, back to another one.
And they're like the most far apart
Big
as
cakes.
possible.
Yeah.
She'd say that I needed the sugar because I spent so much time thinking.
Well, now
My father was always quiet.
he will open up, which is very
He was a federal
interesting
agent.
concerning your theories.
And he was hardly ever at home. The only words he ever had for me were harsh ones. I had a vivid imagination, and I remember he once said this to me. There are plenty of crazy things in this world. You don't have to go dreaming them up. And it's my job to make sense out of them. One day you'll understand what I'm saying. I found out later that my father was one of the first to ever use criminal profiling to catch bad guys. And so now I'm doing exactly the same job that he did. Like father, like son.
Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
Mind if it's something personal?
Fire away.
Who's Zach?
Wrong question.
Zach is a friend of mine.
Oh, so you do have friends.
Yeah. He's my only friend.
What kind of person is he then?
Well, I've never seen his face. But he's always with me, and we discuss everything.
When did you become friends?
A long time ago. Back when I was a child.
And now we'll get to the bottom of things, finally.
Oh my god.
I was 7. I woke up one morning to hear my mother crying in the living room. This wasn't normal, so I headed in to see her. My father was there pointing a gun at my mother. I was so scared. I closed my eyes, so I don't remember much more. But I do remember the words my father said to me. At times we must purge things from this world because they should not exist, even if it means losing someone that you love. When I came back to my senses, they were both dead. He shot my mother and then killed himself.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it. Zach's with me. It was around that time that we became friends. I'm here. I'm with you, he said. I'll be here always. We can get through this together. Quite aside from that terrible scene in front of me, that voice seemed to make me calmer. And here we are, working together, getting through things. This is the first time I've ever told anyone about this. I wonder if Zach will get angry.
That's a sad story. But I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I'm sure there was a reason for what your father did.
That seems harsh.
Yeah, it's like, maybe she was a bitch, you know? Let's shot her in the head.
Well, Emily.
Well, she's not going to be a profiler.
Oh, yeah,
Thank me? For what?
But you know the character doesn't say something like that without a reason, so but still, it seems very insensitive.
No need to thank me for that. I'm pretty useless.
Well,
I couldn't save Becky. I couldn't save Diane.
if you say that, that
What did you
means
just
that
say? Useless?
she definitely has something to
I
hide.
was never expecting to hear you say that.
Well, no, I mean, there's some truth to it.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Finally, you noticed?
But at this point, when you hear something like that,
Well, it sounds like,
Maybe,
you know, if I'm gay and I have a
but
girlfriend
not
and I
useless.
pretend not to be gay and you come up to me and you say something like, yeah, I had a dad and he was gay and he hurt our family a lot. And I would be like, well, maybe there was a
Zach.
reason he was gay. You know, because, you know, I am myself gay.
yeah.
I think it's more serious of a situation.
Gay is
than I
probably
thought.
not politically correct
not a
in this
good-
context.
not a good
but
example,
Not a
no.
good example.
Conversation with Emily.
I have nothing
But
against
that's kind of what you wanted to.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's
yeah,
just,
that's
you
kind
know,
of what you wanted to say with that.
Certain feelings for you. If that's the case, Zach, you and I are rivals.
But yeah,
This is a very
basically he
serious
developed
situation
his alter ego at that point when he had this traumatic experience.
indeed.
So
Let it be a fair fight. Agreed.
I've heard that before, like in movies or something. You know, when kids, something horrible happens to kids, and they separate themselves in that moment from themselves and create
Makes
like an
sense.
alter ego. Yeah, do that.
makes sense to me, like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
You develop a way to deal with it, and that is like making sure you have like this separated being that is not involved
Yeah.
with the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, the question is, like, how powerful can the human emotions get that you can actually manifest feelings into the real world? So maybe he manifested Zach and he's killing everybody.
Yeah.
Because he's like his father.
Yeah.
Some things just shouldn't be in this world. Like Diane, you know, the bitch and the whore.
Yeah.
Or the teenage, you know, some things just shouldn't be in this world. Maybe that's...
Yeah.
I'm just guessing, you know? It's just...
Yeah. I mean, I already told you that he's one of the good guys, but
Yeah, that's true.
look at that. That's an interesting scene. Well, there were brother and sister Diane and Thomas crying and commiserating in the S&M room, which is really interesting if you ask me. And then there's a picture of the back of the raincoat killer guy in the sexy room.
Yeah, that is unexplainably weird.
Yeah, and now the video's over again. So see you again in
achievement.
the next part, I guess.